G'day guys, Champ Chong here with a different type of video because earlier today I got to visit the PlayStation offices here in Australia and they actually let me get my hands on, or I guess my eyes on, with the PlayStation VR. Yes, I'm talking about the virtual reality system that PlayStation are coming out with in October later this year. Now, if you guys do end up enjoying this video, please remember to smack that like button real good, and also if you do have any questions, leave them in the comments down below. But yeah, now let's get into this video and what I actually got to experience. Now first off, I walked in and I saw it all set up. They had the VR, they had the PlayStation, they had the TV, they had the Move controllers, the DualShock, they had it all. I was like, damn, this is like the ultimate PlayStation room right here. I want this in my own house. But unfortunately, I'm not PlayStation. But hey, that's why I went over there and I got my hands on with all the good stuff. Now unfortunately, I wasn't allowed to actually record any footage while I was there, but they were nice enough to let me take a few photos. They took a few photos of me, like playing with it and everything like that. I just had a blast and I completely forgot that I wasn't recording or anything because I was like, hey, I guess I'll tell you guys in post about this and let you guys know exactly what I experienced, which is what I'm doing right now. But anyway, as we got started with everything, I was told that some of the games will be sitting, some of them will be standing. So first off, we were standing and I got the actual PlayStation VR onto my head, and there was like adjustment sort of thing, and you can actually wear glasses with this thing, which is awesome. I know some VR systems don't allow that, but this one actually allows it. You can have glasses and you adjust it from the back, from the front. There are a couple of different ways you can do that. But then we actually got into our first game, which was not really a game, but more of an experience. It's a kind of good way to really start the experience of VR with the PlayStation VR, because it's not jumping straight into something. It's kind of calm, and basically it was called The Deep. I believe that's what it was called. It was like this underwater thing. You're in like a shark cage, you know, those cages where you're put in and you go underwater and there's like all these fish and everything like that. So first off, I see like this cool turtle. I'm like, oh, that's a cool turtle, you know, turtle, whatever. I look around, like I can look around, move around everything in this little cage. I think it was like a couple of meters by a couple of meters. And basically I was looking up, down, left, right, behind me, everywhere. It's full immersion. Now, as we got lower, because the actual cage was descending, basically what I noticed is we started seeing some jellyfish and different sort of creatures. It got a little darker because you could no longer be towards the surface of the water because we were descending, as I said. Now, on top of that, we went even lower into the ocean. So that was really cool because it got darker, and then we were like under these rocks, and all of a sudden this great white shark appears, and I'm like, oh my goodness. And this is a few minutes into this, because after a few minutes you really start getting immersed and forgetting that you're not actually just standing in a room, that you kind of feel like you've got like snorkel goggles on or something on, and you're really experiencing that you're underwater even though you don't feel like you're floating in water. It's a very interesting feeling, I guess. Now what was really awesome with the great white shark is I was first like, he can't do anything on this, but then eventually the shark just started ripping off one of the sides of the cage, and I was like, oh my goodness. And eventually he ripped off the whole thing, and I actually started to get a little worried. I knew it wasn't real, but even though it wasn't real, it's still one of those feelings like, this shark could kill me at any moment right now. And then eventually, I'm not going to say what happens, but it gets really, really good. So that was one experience. That was called, I think, as I said, The Deep. I'm not 100% certain on that, but yeah, it was a really, really cool experience, but not really a game. But the next thing was a game. It was known as the London Heist Getaway. So we're basically in a car, and this time around I'm actually sitting down in a chair, and I'm actually holding Move controllers on top of just wearing the VR headset. So essentially what I'm saying is I'm sitting in a chair in real life. I'm sitting in a chair, and I've got two Move controllers and the VR headset. But in the virtual reality world of things, in the game, I'm in a moving car on a highway, and I'm actually able to pick up stuff and get a gun eventually and all this stuff, and it's a really, really cool experience. And the thing is, unlike The Deep, it's actually a proper game where you're doing stuff. So I'm using the Move controllers to pick stuff up. I can like open the door as we're moving down the highway, throw like soft drink cans, things like that. And eventually we start getting like these enemies just driving behind us, in front of us, to the side of us, all that. We're surrounded. So he gives me like an Uzi SMG, the driver does, because I'm in the passenger seat, and I pick that up and I actually have to like put ammo in with the move controller into the bottom of the other move controller. But to me, in my virtual state, I'm actually seeing an Uzi in my hand, and I'm like putting ammo clips into it and shooting these bad guys on their motorbikes and their vans, all this stuff, and like them landing on the windshield of the car is just like completely awesome. And I forget that I'm actually not in this world. I'm like, oh my god, this is amazing. Even though the graphics aren't like 110% realistic, it's because you're actually surrounded, you're looking around, and there's not just looking at a TV, that it feels real eventually, which is just amazing. It's just one of those things you really, really need to experience that makes it that much better. But anyway, moving from a crazy game that utilized move controllers, shooting, and all this stuff, to something more a little realistic, I guess, and that was the final game that I played, where I was standing up yet again, and I had no controllers this time. It's just me standing up, except the VR headset itself was a controller now. So it would track that by using the PlayStation Eye camera, tracking you just as it always does. But this time round, what it did essentially was you were a player on a soccer pitch and there was a goal in front of you, and it would shoot like soccer balls right at your head, and you'd have to like header them into the goal. So you'd actually have to like lean back and use a proper heading motion. It would kind of teach you to do that, and then you'd have to hit targets, similar to like FIFA trials and drills and things that you do in like trial games or whatever they're called. So yeah, you were basically like training to header the ball into a goal, and it felt real because I played this one I think the longest, and basically at the end of it I felt weird taking the headset off. I was like, whoa, I completely forgot that I was in this room. Like, I don't know what it is. I felt maybe because it was a proper soccer pitch, you know, it wasn't crazy like you were in a car or you were underwater. I think it was because I was standing there and I completely forgot that I wasn't actually on that pitch heading the ball and all that stuff. Overall, I thought it was really, really fun, and it was a really rewarding experience when you head the ball and hit the target that you're meant to hit. You're like, oh, I want to do this again and again, you know? That's that, guys. I got to play these games. I thought they were all really awesome. I know some of them weren't really games, they were more experiences, and I guess that's what you get in this early build. And that's the thing that PlayStation told me, is that it's still very early. The thing's coming out in like October. There isn't even a set date from what I believe. So yeah, it's still far away, but it's creeping up on us. But yeah, I'm excited to see where PlayStation does take its virtual reality experiences and games. It's going to be a crazy year for VR in general. So if you have any questions regarding this, leave them in the comments down below. Unfortunately, as I said, no gameplay or anything from me today with the VR. I wasn't allowed to capture anything. It's very early, I guess. It's very controlled. So yeah, thanks to PlayStation for letting me come down and try the virtual reality system that they do have. So yeah, if you guys enjoyed today's video, please remember to smack that like button real good, and I will see you guys in the next video.